Good morning, everybody. I'm sweaty, bedhead, the whole 9 yards. But I thought I would talk this morning about how I destroyed my thyroid and what signs to look for, or at least my symptoms. So, from my late 20s to most of my 30s, I only got about 4 hours or 4.5 hours of sleep. Now, mind you, during this time I was massaging a doctor who told me unequivocally that I was hurting myself. And he was not wrong. But I was like every other 30-year-old out there, and I had to hustle. I had to be busy all the time. I had to do, get everything done off my to-do list, and I really only slept about 5 hours a night. And I really used that as a badge of honor. I was type A. I tried to be act like I was totally chill, but I was not totally chill. And I pretty much destroyed my health with that. I ate way too much sugar. Back in the day, if you read Shape magazine and that was your guide or whatever, everything was low fat, high carb, and I didn't eat a whole lot of meat. In fact, I was a vegetarian for a little while. So my diet was poor, my sleep was for shit, my stress level was insanely crazy. I had a lot of employees and I had a lot of problem employees that I also called friends, which boundaries weren't really great either. So anyway, I was pretty much the antithesis of what I am today, which is I sleep a lot, I eat really well, and I try not to stress out at all. But, the pendulum swings both ways, right? So mine was swinging completely the wrong way. I think I was I was probably 31 or 32. The first time my hair started falling out. And when I say falling out, I mean scary falling out, like in clumps and handfuls. I went to the doctor. Nothing was wrong with me because, of course, now I know that the tests weren't in depth as Al Russ has taught us. My thyroid was fine. At the time, I had a birth control that I was using called Norplant, and it was these little rods, for lack of a better word, and they were implanted in your arm. So I thought maybe that was the cause of it. So I had those taken out. I'd had them they would stay in for 5 years. Which, knowing what I know about birth control now, was probably a horrible thing to do in the first place, but Anyway, those came out. Totally didn't solve my problem. I just continued on. Finally, I started taking prenatal vitamins, thinking that would help, and it did. So my hair finally quit falling out. When I say I was dragging ass, I mean I was dragging ass. I remember there was a time for about a month when I was just totally depressed. And I remember talking to Bean about it. And I was like, I just can't lift it. I just can't get out of it. And now, after lots of testing, I'm pretty sure that's when I had mono and didn't realize it. Because why? Because I would just keep going and going and going. I hope this is resonating with some of you on what not to do. Or if you have that person in your life, please, I'm going to save this to YouTube, and if you have somebody that needs to see this, I will happily send it to them. But anyway, I always just kept going at any cost, and I kept working out, and I kept not sleeping, and I kept working and working and working. So then I went and decided to go see a naturopath. And I walked in there and I just said, listen, I don't feel good. I'm gaining weight. And of course he looked at me like, oh, here we go. I was probably about 35 at this point. Another 35-year-old, just whiny chick. And my blood work came back and he was like, holy mother of God, how are you even standing? And I'm like, what are you talking about? I worked out this morning. And he was the one that told me I had mono, or had mono, and they wanted to put me on this whole regime of vitamins and stuff, which I did. And then I was supposed to come in for shots and all this kind of stuff, which I ended up not doing because I was living in St. Pete. This was in Largo. It was a 45-minute drive, and they wanted me to come in like twice a week. And I didn't make the time, couldn't make the time. It wasn't a priority, whatever excuse it was. I don't even remember, but I didn't do it. So fast forward to about 40. Met husband, even though he wasn't husband, somewhere along there, and priorities changed. I couldn't do it anymore. I didn't want to do it anymore. I was miserable. My business was failing. It was the recession. It was just a really not good time for me. Looking back, it was kind of, going through the fire. I lost a bunch of friends. I had to shut down one of my businesses. You find out who your true friends are real quick. And it was very sad for me because loyalty is a big one for me. And I had some friends who I'd had for 10 years and turned out they weren't that loyal. So that was really, really hard for me. Not just losing the business and feeling like a failure, but also losing friends in the process. More stress, right? So finally around 40, I decided I just can't do this anymore. And one of my girlfriends and I read a book called Younger Next Year. And it was about exercise. And it's old at this point, but it's still a really good book. And that kind of not that I didn't exercise, because I always had exercised, but it put it in a different frame of mind. And at exactly that same time, we also read a book called Clean by Alejandro J something. Junger? Or am I thinking of Dr. Fung? Anyway, just called Clean. It's got a picture of water on the front. And it was basically having a smoothie for breakfast, a big-ass salad with protein or whatever you wanted for lunch, and then soup for dinner. Basically just giving your digestion a rest. And so we did that, and we felt really pretty good. I had also done a Whole30. I did a Whole30 right after that. And just really got myself on track. I started CrossFit after that. And then I totally dove into the whole paleo thing. All of this kind of happened at the same time. The two books. I dove into paleo. I did a Whole30 after that. And everything just kind of gelled. I also moved up to Land O'Lakes and moved in with soon-to-be husband and just started prioritizing me. I didn't have as many friends to deal with. I was commuting for a while, but I ended up selling my business, and I just started prioritizing me. So enough about me or about my journey, but what I wanted to get to is when your hair starts falling out, when you start feeling cold, when you have absolutely no energy, These are huge, huge, huge symptoms. And they're telling you to slow down, stop, and pay attention. I wish I would have. I mean, I have spent the last 15 years trying to undo what I did for 15 years. So if you have any of these issues, I highly recommend going to a functional doctor. I know several. You can reach out to me. I will happily refer you. But you can't keep going at this pace. You just can't. And now I stand here looking like crap after, just working out and everything, but I feel so much better. I can't even tell you. Sleep is a priority. Rest is a priority. Movement is a priority. Good, clean fuel is a priority. Taking care of myself is a priority. I was the last person I used to take care of. I know for people who have kids, this is very true. For me, it was my business. So, this is getting rather long, but listen to your body. When you have cravings, your body wants something. There's a blog post about cravings. I can mail it to you as well. If your body is tired or sore or just not working right, stop and listen. I just can't emphasize enough how important it is to listen. And, we go on and on about meditation, and I know nobody really likes to do it, but it's super important for you to be able to be still and listen to what your body's telling you, because it will tell you. I promise you that. It really will. Get a little teary-eyed. That happens now too, now that I'm older. I get teary-eyed on some seriously weird things. But I tell you this because I don't want you to have to go through what I went through, and I want you to have a healthy, happy life. So listen to your body, okay? I'll try to keep it a little lighter tomorrow, but hi, boo-boo. You want to see a puppy dog? There's a good girl. There's a good girl. Do you love your mama? Yeah? See, that lightened up the mood. She stinks to high heaven, too. I guess there'll be a bath involved. All right, y'all. I'm going to sign off, and I'll see you tomorrow.